it comes to the 2010s, many make the argument that 2015 was the best year for WWE in the entire decade. WrestleMania 31 was a smash hit, John Cena went on a tear with his United States title open challenge, Daniel Bryan returned to the ring, although not for too long sadly. But despite all this good stuff, 2015 also had its fair share of failures. Whilst there are some regular old bad matches on this list, a lot of the entries we're about to go through were more disappointing, a victim of bad booking rather than bad wrestling. 2015 seemed to be the year of so close and yet so far in WWE, with matches starting off with all the promise in the world and then ending up falling at the final hurdle, trying to get back up and falling over a different hurdle that wasn't even supposed to be there. Anyway, now that complicated metaphor is out the way, I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 worst WWE matches of 2015. Join us! Number 10, Seth Rollins vs John Cena at SummerSlam. As we've seen throughout this series of lists, sometimes all it takes to turn a great match into a terrible one is a really bad finish. United States Champion John Cena was putting his belt on the line against WWE Champion Seth Rollins in a winner-takes-all contest. It was pushed as one of the biggest matches on the card, and the action more than delivered on this promise, until Jon Stewart turned up. The former host of The Daily Show got into the ring after a ref bump and teased hitting Rollins with a chair. In a twist that nobody saw coming, or wanted, Stewart hit Cena instead, allowing Seth to retain. A great match between two top wrestlers was completely ruined by WWE trying to get some mainstream attention. The fact that it was for not one but two championships was the final insult. Number 9, Big Show vs RYBACK at Money in the Bank. In a match we will absolutely be getting to later, RYBACK won his first and only championship in WWE when he captured the IC title in May 2015. For some reason, WWE thought the best way to hide the big guy's weaknesses in the ring would be to put him in a feud with The Big Show, who probably wasn't the best matchup for him, to be honest. Their bout at Money in the Bank got off to a pretty decent start, with both men hitting their signature power moves straight away, but it soon slowed right back down to a much more lethargic pace. RYBACK even attempted an armbar, which, well, let's just say he's no Ronda Rousey. Just when it looked like Show had the match won, The Miz ran in and hit him with a microphone. The A-lister had been getting involved in both men's business in previous weeks and had been attacked by RYBACK while on commentary for this match. A DQ finish on a pay-per-view to set up a match at another pay-per-view is always frustrating, but it's even worse when the action that preceded it wasn't even that good. Number 8, Dolph Ziggler vs Sheamus at Extreme Rules. The Celtic Warrior made his return from injury the night after WrestleMania 31 with a new attitude and a mohawk that could be seen from space. The future leader of the Brawling Brutes set his sights on Dolph Ziggler, and the two were scheduled to face off at Extreme Rules in a Kiss Me Arse match. Not a Kiss My Ass match, a Kiss Me Arse match. Wow. It's a match name that was possibly only created because Vince McMahon thought Sheamus spoke funny. WWE had done plenty of bum-related matches in the Attitude Era, usually as an excuse to push the women's division back a few years, or because Rikishi needed a payday. But those times were long gone in 2015, and fans were less than thrilled at the prospect of seeing one wrestler kiss another's backside against his will. The actual match was fine, with Ziggler scoring the win, but then Sheamus beat him up and shoved his ass in his face anyway, so the whole thing was utterly pointless. Good stuff. Number 7, Seth Rollins vs Sting at Night of Champions. Steve Borden does not age like normal men if his run in AEW is anything to go by. These days, Sting is consistently pulling off incredible feats and taking bumps that would make some wrestlers half his age wince. All of this is even more amazing when you consider we thought he was done for good after Night of Champions 2015. After unsuccessfully defending the US Championship against John Cena, Seth Rollins then had to put the WWE title on the line on the same night against the Stinger. After some great action, Sting got hit with a buckle bomb from Rollins that legitimately injured his neck. He finished the match, but looked like he was struggling the entire time. He was pinned by Rollins in a roll-up, and if you listen closely, you can actually hear the Architect apologizing. Sting's injury put a massive downer on this match, and things got even worse when it was revealed that he was forced to retire because of it. Fortunately, the Icon has now made a full recovery, which thankfully takes the edge off this incident ever so slightly, but still, at the time, it was not pretty. Number 6, the Ascension versus the New Age Outlaws at the Royal Rumble. When Connor and Victor made their WWE main roster debuts by picking on iconic tag teams, fans were concerned that the former NXT Tag Team Champions were just being used as fodder for older stars. That is exactly what happened on the January 19th edition of Raw, when they were completely jobbed out by the NWO, the APA, and the New Age Outlaws. Connor and Victor got their asses handed to them that night, which made it very hard to get invested in their match at the Royal Rumble against Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. The Outlaws were still in decent shape at this point, especially Big Billy, but the match was still a slog. Apart from the opening shtick, nothing about this encounter sparked much excitement, and the Ascension getting the win meant very little. A win over the New Age Outlaws should have been like rocket fuel for the younger duo, but due to a forgettable match and that disastrous segment on Raw, the Ascension's rockets never left the launch pad. Number 5, Eva Marie versus Billie Kay on NXT. Eva Marie is good at lots of things. She's good at dyeing her hair, at coming up with excuses to get out of matches, and probably other things too. To be honest, we didn't really see her do much else in her 2 stints with WWE. In September 2015, Eva was taking on a pre-Iconics Billie Kay in a match that lasted less than 4 minutes. However, almost miraculously, Eva managed to botch nearly every single move she did in that time. The match is perhaps most famous, or should I say infamous, for Eva forgetting to kick out after being hit with a suplex by Kay. The referee had to visibly slow down his count so that Eva could get her shoulder off the mat in time, and the fans absolutely blasted her with boos as a result of this mistake. To many, this was the perfect example of WWE's looks over skill hiring policy that plagued its women's division for so many years. We would like to say that Eva Marie got better after this stinker, but let's move on. Number 4, the Brothers of Destruction versus the Wyatt family at Survivor Series. The entirety of Survivor Series 2015 was marketed around it being 25 years since the debut of The Undertaker. The dead man took center stage on the event's poster and was put into a special match alongside his half-brother Kane as the demonic duo did battle with the Wyatt family. This all came about after Bray and his henchmen kidnapped Taker following his Hell in a Cell match against Brock Lesnar. This led to the Brothers of Destruction teaming up to take on Wyatt and Luke Harper in a tag team match that was, unfortunately, quite an anticlimax. The wrestling was fine and nobody really got anything wrong, but it was just too paint by numbers. For a match that had been so majorly hyped, fans were expecting a bit more from WWE here. Instead, they got a run-of-the-mill tag team match that wouldn't have looked out of place in the middle of Monday Night Raw. Between this and the weird segment they did for his 30th anniversary, WWE really don't know how to celebrate The Undertaker at Survivor Series, do they? Number 3, Goldust versus Stardust at Fastlane. The Rhodes brothers have both been through their fair share of nonsense throughout their careers, and this match from Fastlane 2015 really exemplifies that. Performing under their Goldust and Stardust monikers, Cody and Dustin had been slowly drifting apart until the former attacked the latter on Raw. This led to what should have been a highly emotional encounter between the two brothers, but what we got instead was an underwhelming contest with a botched ending. The offense in this match never reached the levels it should have. This was literally a blood feud, and the pair should have torn each other apart. Instead, we got a bunch of grandstanding during which the occasional wrestling match broke out. The dodgy finish came when Goldie pinned his brother with a crucifix and Cody kicked out at 2. Except he didn't because the bell rang. Except he did because we all saw it. What? This underwhelming finish to an underwhelming match ensured that a Rhodes vs. Rhodes feud would never happen again in WWE. But hey, to be honest, these two probably aren't even capable of having a good match together. Isn't that right, AEW? Number 2, the Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber at Elimination Chamber. Told you we'd get here, because how could we not? Both of the namesake matches at Elimination Chamber 2015 were a bit rough. The Tag Team Chamber match earlier in the night was too cluttered, but that was Steamboat vs. Savage compared to this hot mess. First of all, exciting rising star Rusev was replaced by Mark Henry before the match even started, big shoes for an aging Henry to fill. Things got worse when he was accidentally released early from his pod. The world's strongest man proceeded to look very confused as the other wrestlers tried to work out a new layout on the fly with about as much subtlety as a shotgun blast. Seriously, you can hear Dolph Ziggler yelling spots at the top of his voice. Unfortunately, the match never recovered, and not even fan favourite RYBACK winning the IC title could get fans properly back on its side. It was a bad one, but not the worst. Number 1, the Royal Rumble match at the Royal Rumble. They booed The Rock. This match was so bad that people booed The Rock. How does that even happen? At the 2015 Royal Rumble, wrestling fans were still recovering from the disappointment of not seeing Daniel Bryan win the previous year's edition. That night, ironically, ended with fans booing Batista for eliminating Roman Reigns. 1 year later, and things were very, very different. Not only did Bryan not win the match again, but the Rumble was instead won by the symbol of everything fans had grown to hate about WWE. Reigns was the chosen one, the hand-picked representative of management who would win whether we liked it or not. Seeing him punch his ticket to WrestleMania was too much for many fans who were already sick of Roman being pushed above his station. The live crowd absolutely mutinied against this finish, showering the future tribal chief with a chorus of boos. Not even a surprise appearance from Dwayne could save the day. I mean, just look at his face when he realizes what's going on. Says it all. Not only did WWE set in motion a catastrophic chain of events with this decision, but they also ruined the best match of the year. For a second year in a row, too. Suffering succotash.